So now we know how much money Ben Johnson is asking for on his £50,000 a week. Well, at least that's what the club say anyway. Do you know what? I actually believe them. I do believe there's probably some negotiating. I believe you could probably get him for a 45 or something like that. But let's go with the £50,000 a week. But the revelation of what Ben Johnson is asking for, and you're going to have to excuse me, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant, bit of a ranty pants here today. It coincides with a little comment as well. And the comment is finished with sadly. Let me just read it so I've got it right. It says, we won't pay that sort of money, meaning the £50,000 a week. So sadly, if he leaves, he leaves. Yeah, I mean, look, the word sadly is in there, but unfortunately it doesn't convey any regret, any sadness at all. I think this is quite a calculated call, it has to be said, but I actually think it's quite a bewildering decision as well. Now, just from the outset, let me make this absolutely clear, because I already know there's every time I discuss Ben Johnson, there will be people in the chat that say he's not good enough. He's not good enough for West Ham, end of. And I don't think, for me, that's not the case. And I'm not suggesting that Ben Johnson is the best player in the world. I'm not even suggesting he's the best player at West Ham. What I do think he is I think he's a very, very good squad player. And I actually think this season he's not been treated particularly well. However, I'll get to that later on. So I just really wanted to make that point here. But I am arguing his case from the perspective of a squad player, from an academy graduate, from someone that's been here since he was 8, from somebody who can, and let's be absolutely clear about this, can play anywhere across the back line. And as he's shown this season, can even fill in, I think, because he's done left wing, he's done right wing, and he's done central midfield disposition. You could make the argument that Ben Johnson could play anywhere across the back line and across midfield. Is he the best player in any of those positions? No. But that is somebody who is actually really, really important to your squad. And then you factor in that not only is he homegrown, he's actually club developed as well. He's ticking a lot of the boxes that you have to adhere to when you're submitting your squad. And I'll make this point today, and that is that if we were going to go and look to buy Ben Johnson, we would absolutely be paying him £50,000 a week. Now, Johnson's got offers on the table. He knows his value. And here's the important thing about it. I think Ben Johnson is asking for a squad wage. And we'll get to some examples in just a second. So I think he's fully appreciative of his status at the club, of where he stands in the pecking order. I think he knows exactly. He's not asking for a top wage. He's asking for a bottom third wage, basically. But I also think he and his representatives are fully aware of his market value, and that is that actually he can go elsewhere and get his £50,000 a week. And not just that, get a big signing on bonus as well, which he wouldn't get for West Ham. He wants to stay at West Ham so much, he's willing to stay at West Ham for the same money he's getting offered elsewhere, but not get that signing bonus. Because I'm going to make the case now, Ben Johnson is not a rich man. He signed scholarship terms, and then he signed his first professional contract. It wasn't very much. Ben Johnson does not earn lots of money at West Ham. And realistically, he's now a professional footballer. Everybody in that squad, and I'm with the exception of Divine Mubama, of course, everybody in that squad is significantly richer than Ben Johnson. And it's not just all about him getting rich, of course. He just wants to be paid the going rate. And for a Premier League squad player, particularly one that's played so many times for a club, that's the going rate. But let me just get back to the comment here, which was, we won't pay that sort of money, so sadly if he leaves, he leaves. Au contraire. Au contraire. Actually, we do pay that sort of money. And more besides, by the way. We have paid players more money than Ben Johnson who haven't done as much for the club as Ben Johnson. He's young, he's versatile, he ticks all the boxes that we need there, and he's asking for a low. Anyway, let's deal with that there. We won't pay that sort of money. I can give you numerous examples. But first of all, let me start with a right back. Ben Johnson, let's go with Ryan Fredericks. Ryan Fredericks ran down his contract in much the same fashion that Ben Johnson is. He was at Fulham. West Ham signed him. How much did we sign him for? Yeah, you've guessed it, £50,000 a week. So not only have we shown we will do that, we have done it. We actually have we actually got relatively recent evidence of having done so. All I would say is Ryan Fredericks also given a really decent signing on bonus as well, because we understood the benefit of getting somebody and not paying a transfer fee. It seems really the trouble with Ben Johnson is not that he's asking for too much money, it's that he's an academy graduate and not an outsider. Were he to be an outsider, he would command more money. Now, I don't know whether Ben Johnson goes to Everton, Nottingham Forest. I don't know why I've used those two clubs. Actually, I do. I know that Everton are interested in him. But I think he's a decent Premier League performer. I really do. I think he's a decent Premier League squad player. Will he ever get Hammer of the Year? No, probably not. But I would expect him to leave West Ham and for it to be an embarrassment next season. I can actually visualise it in my mind, sitting down, watching Match of the Day, and when they're doing all that stuff and drawing the circles around the players and highlighting them, of him playing for someone, having a really, really good performance, and Gary Lineker sat down there with his pundits, whoever he's sat down with, and saying, well, you know, Ben Johnson had a really good game today, and then somebody saying, yeah, it's unbelievable that West Ham let him go. I can see it now. I really can. Maybe I'm wrong. Only time will tell. What Ben Johnson must think when he looks at someone like Danny Ings earning close to £100,000 a week is beyond me. Danny Ings, I would imagine, in Danny Ings and his time at West Ham, has earned more than Ben Johnson has ever earned. Let's sink in for a second. I'm on pretty safe ground with that. I've got nothing against Danny Ings. He was the wrong player for the wrong club at the wrong time. But there's something very, very wrong, and I can understand why Ben Johnson be looking at this stuff. But listen, before I go any further, can I please point you in the direction of today's video sponsor, which is Match Bingo. I don't know why I'm pointing up there. I'm going to point up there. There'll be a QR code. You can scan the QR code, or please use the link below to download this fantastic app. We're getting a lot of winners on this. We really are. We're up to 8 winners at the moment, and those are just people that have told us. Majority of the people, look, you'll notice, the majority of people just watch this video and don't leave a comment. So I'm not going to speculate how many people have won from Hammer's Chat, but people are winning at this game. It is a betting app, so you've got to be 18 and above. If you don't know what it is, you download the app and it basically gives you a bingo card. Each game is £2 to play, but in each and every game week there is a free-to-play game. So the game week coming up is actually Everton and Manchester United game. Sign in for that, log in, join up, use the code, play the game, win yourself some money. As more people join, the prize pots are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You get your bingo card on your bingo card. It'll basically give you events in a match that have got to happen. A corner, a free kick, a goal, a substitution, that sort of thing. And just like a bingo card, you've got 1 line, 2 lines, full house. We've had winners on all of them. Now, winners on all of those things. It's a really, really great app. They've been an amazing company to work with. And I can't remember at any point where we've been promoting anything where we've had so many winners in all the time we've been doing this stuff on YouTube. So check it out. Links in the description below. If you don't like it, you can just uninstall it from your phone. But I'll tell you what, it's actually pretty damn good and it's pretty addictive. Myself and Gio haven't won yet. I was one yellow card away from winning. What was it? Winning 50 quid the other day. So that would have been very nice. Anyway, go and check it out. Link is in the description below. So Danny Ings. But Danny Ings is not the only one. How many mercenary players have come through the revolving doors at West Ham and just basically taken a load of money out of West Ham coffers? I like to think there's got to be some reward for loyalty, hasn't there? Isn't there just something wrong when somebody who's been dedicated to the club and been here since he was 8 gets offered less money than people who are just passing through and play less games? I'm not going to suggest that the club were happy to spunk all that money. Sorry. I'm 9 minutes into the video. I'm not re-recording that. To spend all that money on Nikola Vlasic. They weren't happy to do it, but they lost a lot of money. I don't think you get that with Ben Johnson. I think you know what you're getting. I think you get your money's worth. David Moyes wants to keep, I think, a small squad at the moment. Players like Ben Johnson mean you can keep a small squad. Players like Ben Johnson mean that you can have someone on the bench and they allow you to keep 2 or 3 in another position. 'Cause you know what? Good old trusty, reliable Ben Johnson can play left back. He can play right back. He can play centre back. If need be, you can put him anywhere else. And I've got to say, by and large, he does so without complaint. There have been times this season, where I've thought he's looked like the best player on the pitch. He's come on, he's done a job up there, one of the top 2 or 3 players on the pitch. Now, granted, it's not been when we've played particularly well, but I think that even means a little bit more. So when West Ham have been absolutely crap, he's sometimes been, I've looked at him in a couple of games where him and Jared Bowen look like the only people that give a damn. And realistically, Vladimir Soufal's come back to form. Yes, he has. But I think he was in with a really, really good shout to have been given a go at that shirt. Well, when has he ever had it? When has Ben Johnson ever been given 5 to 10 games in the same position to prove himself? Because I think that's all he wants. All he wants is a chance to prove himself at a club, at West Ham, not at a club, and to be paid the going rate. And this is the thing. He's not even being greedy. He knows he's not going to get the same as Zuma. Never mind Zuma. I'm not talking about the superstars. I'm not talking about Jared Bowen or Paquetá or anyone like that. This is the thing. He just wants a comparable wage. He wouldn't even be, listen, I tell you now, he wasn't even earning a quarter of what someone like Thilo Kehrer was earning. It really must be difficult. It has to be said. And in many respects, I don't blame him for leaving. What I find more unbelievable is the fact that he's still clinging on, that he still hasn't signed or said to his agent, I'm definitely going. He's still entering negotiations. He is still willing to sign a contract at West Ham. I'd have given up on it. I've been completely fed up. Because I've got to say, I'd have felt like, I wouldn't have felt like David Moyes valued me. And I wouldn't feel like the club had valued me. And I'd be looking at it and thinking, you know what? There's no one here that's really that interested. And the great irony is, I remember, was the season before last when Mark Noble was... There was that whole thing about how Mark Noble, when we go and do an away game, he'll go into the away dressing room and he'll always sweep up at the end. And the baton had been... Not the baton, the broom. Old Trigger's broom had been passed over to Ben Johnson. I remember Noble speaking about it. I remember Ben Johnson speaking about it. He was going to carry on that West Ham tradition. One academy graduate to the next. It was interesting it hadn't gone to Declan Rice. You know why? Because we all knew that Declan Rice didn't want to be at West Ham and he was going to leave very soon. Well, Ben Johnson wanted to be at West Ham. He's not even giving it to Billy Big what sits. Just happy to be at West Ham, happy to be a squad player. And a damn fine one as well. I'll tell you what I do, I'll finish now, because I do find it weird. I don't like the statement. I'll say it again. We won't pay that sort of money, so sadly if he leaves, he leaves. It sounds so crass. Honestly. I don't like it at all. But I want to go back to David Moyes. Because I do think there is a hope here, and there's a certain set of circumstances. With God grace, a fair wind, and if the planets align, there is a way that Ben Johnson stays. But with David Moyes, I do find it odd. Now, I know Phil Neville was a better player, and he was a more highly decorated player than Ben Johnson. I understand that. But he got him in when he just wasn't getting any more game time at Everton. At Manchester United. David Moyes got him in. And I remember that Everton team. I remember Phil Neville played everywhere. Right back, left back, centre back, defensive midfield. Honestly, everywhere. It was his guy. He was his utility player. So David Moyes got form for using a player like Ben Johnson. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Anyway, here's the set of circumstances. Clearly the board aren't willing to give him the money. So what the board would really need, and I think the board would, they need a manager, the manager, to say, give him the money. Because let's be fair, look at the amount of money they forked out for Calvin Phillips. And I don't want to get on Calvin Phillips' back. I'm hopeful he turns out to be a good player, and I like him. I mean, I think he's a really, really, really good character. I'll tell you what he is. There's been a, how can I say this? It's been like a charity, it's been like a fan group recently who have needed something done from West Ham players. They didn't need something done. They wanted something from some of the West Ham players. I'm trying, you have to excuse me, I'm choosing my words carefully here. I don't want to pull anyone into it. The only person that did anything was Calvin Phillips. There you go. I think he's a good egg. I really do. I like him. So I'm not trying to dig Calvin Phillips out. I think he's a good guy. But I make this point. My point is, if the manager pushed hard enough, the board will pay whatever. They are paying a lot of money. Eye-watering amount. I'll say this again. Calvin Phillips will earn as much, I would wager, that he will earn as much in his 6-month stint at West Ham than Ben Johnson has ever earned at West Ham. I think I'm pretty safe with it. That ain't right. But my point is that if the manager really wants to push it home, the board will say. So if the manager really wanted him, the manager could say to the board, pay him his 50 grand a week. Just pay it. Clearly that's not happening. So the board are not going to do it off their own back. The manager's not going to do it. Which leads us to the scenario, which is David Moyes doesn't stay, and then a new manager comes in and he says, I want this guy. I've seen this guy. I want this guy as part of my squad. And then I think they'll pay it. So I do think there is a way that he stays. But for that to happen, we're going to be relying on a lot of patience from Johnson and his representatives. We're relying on a lot of goodwill. And I think, personally, I would have got fed up by that point because it can't be easy being undervalued. You know, I'd just be looking around thinking, no one fancies me here. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, just maybe, I don't know. Maybe Tim Stighton's in his ear and saying, just wait. And I hope he does. And I really do, because I'm a West Ham fan. We're all West Ham fans, unless you're not and you're watching this. And good luck to you. But I'd like to think the majority of people watching this are West Ham fans. I think there has to be some value. I want an academy graduate in there. Look, it doesn't look like we're promoting many of the youngsters now. Looks like Mubama's leaving. I mean, it's the madness of it. Mubama's probably leaving. I think he is. That's another thing. We said we're not going to give him his wages either, by the way. We're crap at this stuff. We're really crap at it. Cresswell's leaving. All our English players are leaving. All right, Cresswell didn't come to the academy, but he's been here, 9 years? He understands about being West Ham. I don't like it. I think we could be acting better than this. I think we could be doing when we hemorrhage money. We just hemorrhage money. We can't give a bit of it to Ben Johnson. I don't know. I don't like it. Anyway, excuse me, just my little rant for the day.